Today is a date circled on almost everyone's calendar. It's April 15th, everyone. You know what that means. It is officially tax day. And to help us navigate the complexities of tax return filings, I'm joined, of course, here in the studio by attorney Vincent J. Russo. I mean, either people like this day or we hate this day.
That's right.
I like the day. I was ahead of the curve. I got my return back already. So I'm just putting it out there. I feel like if anyone's filing today, you're not late, but in my mind, you're a little late.
Well, today's the day. It's Jackie Robinson Day.
Oh, okay.
All right, so if
Yeah.
you don't like tax day, let's celebrate Jackie Robinson.
All right, okay, so let's jump right into this because it is a super important day.
Right.
For those who are finalizing everything today, what do they need to know when they're filing their tax returns here on April 15th?
Okay, so if today's the day you're going to file, here are some key tips. One is double check your math, make sure it's accurate, make sure you sign and date the return. Verify your bank details. That's your routing and account information of if you're looking for a direct deposit of a refund. And then check the mail time if you're going to physically mail the return in so that you know what time you need to get it to the post office.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's super important. Okay, so it's April 15th. Maybe someone's busy. They didn't realize they can't get it done by today. So what are the steps if they need to maybe file an extension or something like that?
Well, that's exactly right. They need to file an extension, really important. Today's the day. File the extension. It's IRS Form 4868. It's an automatic extension of 6 months. You don't have to give a reason why you're asking for it. You have to pay what you owe, so you should estimate what that tax is even if you don't have a final return to file. It's not an extension to pay. This is really, really important.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that extension doesn't mean then you don't have to shell out, right? So can you talk a little bit more in depth about that?
Sure, let's get into some of the details here. First of all, if you're paying later after the filing date, there's going to be an interest charge.
Ooh.
So the IRS charges interest. Right now, the current rate they're charging is 6%. New York State, 8.5%. So you're going to be hit with an interest charge. 2, if you don't file and pay your taxes, there's a late paying penalty. And it can be 0.5% per month up to 25%. So every month that goes by and you still owe the money, you're running a late paying penalty. Then there's a late filing penalty. This is a harsher one. It's 5% per month up to 25%. If you don't pay your taxes on time and you file late, they combine these penalties to be a maximum of 5% up to 25%. There's also a hidden minimum charge if you file after 60 days and you didn't ask for an extension up front, and that could be a penalty of $525 or lesser if you owe a lesser tax. But there's a minimum penalty.
Wow, I had no idea any of this information. Yeah. Wow. So, okay, so now we know we have to pay,
right.
Even though you're filing for an extension. What kind of paperwork and documents and everything need to go into that? And if you don't have the documents, break that all down.
Yeah, and one let me get back one other point on the paying the penalties. The penalties based on what you owe. So if you end up with a refund, then you're not going to get hit with the late paying penalty because you didn't owe any money. All right, but let's get into now filing the return, and let's talk about the postmark rules. All right, this is important if you're mailing. I urge people to electronically file, especially if they're going to get a refund, they'll get it back sooner. Today's the day. It must be postmarked April 15th. It's that simple. So if you're going to drop it in what I'll call a blue box on your street corner, you better check the mail times, because if you put it in after the last pickup time, then they're going to not postmark it until the next day, and then you'll be late.
Yeah.
All right? Go to the post office if you have a return to file today and get a stamped receipt. You can wait online, and get a stamped receipt and they can manually postmark the envelope so that it's filed properly. All right? If it's postmarked today, it counts as if filed today. all right? If you owe taxes and you're concerned to make sure that they get your check and everything's done timely, you may want to send it certified mail, return receipt requested. Easier path, you can file electronically.
All right, wait on that line if you're taking it to the post office. Yeah, okay, so people are rushing maybe today to get everything done. There has to be some common mistakes that are going to happen, right?
Unfortunately, yes. The last thing you want to do is to rush and get this done. So, take a deep breath. Check again. I mentioned earlier, math errors. Make sure your name is spelled properly. Make sure your social security number is correct. Make sure you're attaching your W-2s. You don't want to have any missing statements or schedules when you file. You've got to make sure you're filing it to the right IRS address. So you can look that up. It depends on where you live, so it will vary around the country. And you don't want to have a late postmark, as I mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. So someone's watching, now they're overwhelmed, and they don't know what to do. Like, what advice do you have for them?
All right. Well, if they're filing an extension, they can go online with the IRS, and there's a free filing extension available to them. Or there are these tax software companies that will file an extension for you. So that's one way of doing it. You can download the forms and file manually through the mail. Contact a professional. Yeah, I know today's a rough day to try to get one on the phone, but if you have a relationship with an accountant or a tax lawyer that can help you answer any last-minute questions or make sure you're filing timely. So I'll tell you just quickly a story I learned today, which was about Jack Swigert. Jack Swigert was on Apollo 13, and he was pulled in at the last minute to substitute as an astronaut and realized when he was up in space, he didn't file his tax return on time. So he contacted NASA, and they gave him an exception in the rule because they said he was out of the country.
Out of this world. That is
all right,
funny.
So most stories you have, if you think you're going to talk your way out of a penalty, it's not going to work. But for Jack Swigert, it worked.
All right, that's probably the only exception, I would have to say. That is a fantastic story. And obviously, just tell everybody the information for your law group, because you have tons of resources online.
Sure, lots of resources on our website at vjrussolaw.com, where you can always call us at 516-683-1717. We're happy to help you in any way we can.
Vincent, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.